Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Reinvention Made Simple Daily. My name is Benjamin Kamoya, your host. And if you are feeling trapped in the rat race, if you're feeling like you're in this meaningless, endless pursuit, you're constantly running, you're exhausted, you don't see the end of this, you don't see the end in sight, then you want to tune in today. Because I will be sharing with you just some fast three simple steps that you can take to get out of the rat race. Again, if you're joining us for the very first time, my name is Kamoya Benjamin, and my purpose in life is to come alongside leaders like you and help them reinvent themselves for impact and for income. What that really means is helping you gain clarity of your skills, gain clarity of your genius code, and then serve the world, create solutions from a place of ease, create outcomes for people. And as you do that, they're willing to reward you handsomely and pay you for the value that you bring. And I just don't talk about getting paid, but I talk about earning your worth, which is the monetization conversation. So it's about mastering your brilliance. What do you have to offer? The second one is about monetizing that brilliance. And third and most important is manifesting that brilliance, and most importantly, monetizing it. Those three work together, and that's what the reinvention journey is all about. Now, today we're talking about whether you're feeling trapped in the rat race. And this terminology, the rat race, has been around for a long time. Matter of fact, I think it around the 1930s is the first time that term ever appeared, the rat race. And today, more than ever, many people find themselves in a rat race. And that may mean anything that you consider to be meaningless, feeling like you're in this difficult, exhausting, routine activity that is sucking the life out of you. Now, I always used to think that the rat race was only for people who were poor or rich. That's actually what I thought about the rat race. I thought it was only for people. Oh, we have a technical hitch. We're coming live back to you in a few minutes. All right, there we go. Yeah, tell you, when tech decides to misbehave when you're right in the middle of a live transmission. Oh, there we are back again. Ever heard this happen to you? I tell you. Right, we're back at it. This message is going to go out either way. If you're feeling trapped and you're in a rat race, welcome back. We just had a quick technical glitch right there with our equipment, but we already have that sorted out and we're back at it again. Now, let me swing back to where we were. We're talking about feeling like you're in a rat race and saying the words that really come to me when I think of being in a rat race are, besides the word being trapped, is exhausted, is routine, it's activity, it is difficult. You have to keep up. You're in survival mode. And those are not good words to describe a life that you're living. They're not good words in any way. I remember when I was like living from paycheck to paycheck. I was just waiting for the next paycheck and waiting for the next paycheck. And between the two paychecks, I just needed to keep running as fast as possible just to keep up with the mounting bills, just to keep up with the responsibilities and obligations that I had in my life. And there's nothing fun about being in that place. Now, I was sharing with you earlier that being in a rat race is not just something that happens to either people who are struggling to make it happen, like I was. It's also something that happens to people who are really financially well off. People who you would look at their lives, look at the house they're living in, look at the car they're driving, look at their lifestyle generally, and really say, wow, I would love to be there. But isn't it interesting that even as I continue to coach leaders, I come across leaders who are trapped in a rat race. Yes, they've got all the trappings of wealth and power and resources, but they're in a rat race. They need to keep running as fast as they can just in order to keep that lifestyle going. So whether you are poor, really trying to make it work, whether you're struggling, whether you're trying to bring food on the table and you need to run as fast as you can just to keep that going, you're in a rat race. If you're also wealthy and money is not a problem for you, but you gotta keep doing what you do every day just to keep the lights, just to keep everything going, equally, you are in a rat race. Now, these two, whether you are on the high end of the spectrum or on the lower end, none of this feel good. It's exhausting. It's draining. You need to keep up. You need to stay afloat. And as I said, even if you win the race in the rat race, you're still a rat. I don't like that. And today I want to share with you just 3 steps of how do you get out of the rat race? How do you come out of the rat race? How do you unshackle yourself? How do you come out of this trap that is the rat race? First, we need to acknowledge a couple of things here. The life that you're living in the rat race, you designed it. Yes, I said it, you designed that life. By the choices that you made, you designed that life. By what you accepted and made agreement with, you designed that life. And if you're going to step out of the rat race, if you're going to unshackle yourself from the rat race, you've got to make different decisions. You've got to make different decisions. But before we get to decisions, let's settle on this idea that if you created the life that you have today and it's a rat race, and you've got to keep up just to stay afloat, you can design a different life. I'm talking about the resourcefulness within you to alter your circumstances. That's where it begins. You know, for most people who are in a rat race, there's this overwhelming feeling of being helpless, as though there's nothing I can do. Can't you see the die has been cast? What if I jump off? What am I going to do? There's no option. You hear people use the words, I don't have a choice. No, no, no. I refuse to make agreement with that limiting belief that you do not have a choice. For you to get out of the rat race, you've got to step within you and find that you created it. You created the life that you have. And if you're going to get a different life, my friend, begin to design a different life. And it begins with asking a simple question. What do I want? What do I want? Tapping within you and finding your genius, finding the answer within you to answer that question. What do you want? Now, that's a difficult question for most people to answer. They know what other people want for them. They know what other people want from them. They know what other people expect from them. You know what your mom, your brothers, your uncles, your aunties, your employer, you know what everyone expects from you and wants from you. But for most of the people that sometimes come onto my coaching calls and I ask them simple questions like, what do you want? Most of the times they don't know what they want. They don't know what they want because they've dwelt on what they don't want. The rat race is driven by fear of an outcome. What if this happens and therefore I need to continue to stay on the rat race? And if you're going to get unshackled, if you're going to escape the rat race, one thing has to happen. You've got to go within. And you've got to go within and meet your truth. And your truth can be found in this question. What do you want? What do you want? And if you go within, you'll find certain answers within you, such as, I want to live life on my own terms. I want to live life with freedom. I want to live life not feeling like I have a gun to my head that if I don't do certain things, my life will crumble. I know that's what you want. And so take a moment and define for yourself, what do you want? Because in the same way that you designed this life, you can design a new life. I know that's possible for you. So begin to think about, what do I want? And begin to think about designing a new life. I shared with you in another video that the 3 drivers for adults that cause them to be caught up in the rat race are 3 R's. 3 R's. The first one is relationships. The second one is reason. And the third one is results. Men and women are driven significantly to be loved, liked, and accepted by others, to do what they may not necessarily want, but to do what someone else expects them to do. Matter of fact, sometimes to do what you think other people expect you to do so that they love you, like you, and accept you. And this is the first place where most people are held strong, unable to jump out of the rat race. Though they're running fast and they're exhausted and they hate it and they feel like, I cannot get out of this. The main reason why they feel I cannot get out of this is because if I jump out, what will he think? What will she think? What will they say? You know, this was my guy. He's my mentor. He did this for me. And guess what? I have come here. Loyalty is a very high price to pay, especially when you are trapped in the rat race. So here's my advice for you. Begin by articulating, what do you want? Now, I know there's a process to go through to cut links, to transition, to move into another space. And that's the work that I do with leaders, helping them reinvent themselves, because reinvention comes with sudden transitions. The law of sacrifice says that in order for us to attain something of a higher value, we've got to let go of something of a lower value. And the fact that you're realizing now, hey, guess what? I'm in a rat race. I'm running as fast as I can and I don't see the end in sight. There's something greater and better for you. And the awareness of that requires that you step in and ask the question, what do I want? Maybe what you have, you no longer want it and you want something new. And that's completely okay. But answering the question, what do I want, is the first step. What do you want? What kind of life do you imagine? Design that. Imagine coming home at work after a day of creating impact in people's lives, being able to spend your time with your family, doing what you do because you want to, not because you have to. And there's a big difference between those two. Like I said, you created the life where you have to do things, where you do things because you have to. It's possible to create a life where you do things because you want to. You show up in spaces because you want to, not because you have to. And I have lived in that place where I did things because I felt like I had no choice. But again, I reiterated it. I created that for myself. And the moment I took the power into my hands to say, I want different, and I designed whatever it is that I wanted, and I built the competencies and the skills to go towards it, I got different. And I know it's not different for you. If you want different, you want different. And nobody should talk you out of that. Nobody should negotiate with you out of what you want. We're talking about getting out of the rat race. Here's the second thing that you need to do. You need to make a decision. Make a decision. And this is the first decision you need to make. By which date do you see yourself coming out of the rat race? By which date do you see yourself coming out of the rat race? Have a date in mind that on the 17th of September or the last day of November, I'm going to get out of this rat race. Now, certain decisions are required in order for you to get out of the rat race. One of those decisions is, how am I continuing to deliver on my obligations for those people that I am responsible to? The worst thing you can do is to unplug from what supplies the lifestyle that you've created for your children and for your family. You don't want to do that. You don't want to create any more agony than you are already in by being in the rat race that you are in. And so consciousness is required to design a pathway for how to come out of the rat race. And that may require several things. One, how am I going to continue to supply what I do to my family? It could be resources. It could be the kind of lifestyle, a roof over their heads, food on the table, a quality education, means for the things that you've made available for them. So have a plan. Make decisions on what is going to be required and how do I continue to make it available. And again, that's the area of my mastery in helping people articulate their value and beginning to position that value in spaces where it is appreciated and it is rewarded handsomely. That's monetizing your brilliance. You see, for you to jump out of the rat race, that requires courage, but there's a life after the rat race, a better life, I imagine, a life where you've created a pathway and said, I'm beginning to develop partnerships with X, Y, and Z who see the value I have, and I'm going to serve them in certain ways to create solutions for them so that they can reward me. Now, you're getting into designing a life that you want, but it takes intentionality. It takes decisions. Now, let me tell you something about decisions before we even talk about the other decisions you need to make. When you come to think about decisions and why many people struggle to make decisions, it's one thing that blocks men and women from making decisions that they know they need to make. And they dance around the decision and waste time. Maybe trying to say, I'm rethinking and I'm looking at all the angles and I'm looking at all the angles. No, they are not. Let me tell you the number one enemy of being a decisive person: opinions. Opinions are the kryptonite for a decisive mind. The opinions of people. What is she going to say? What is he going to say? If you open yourself up to opinions at the point you're making a decision, you will not make a good decision. And when it comes to jumping out of the rat race, everyone has an opinion about when you should jump, if you should jump out, and everything that concerns that. Everyone has an opinion because they're on the outside looking at you, celebrating the life that you have, or talking about why that's where you need to be. How do you want to make things difficult for yourself? If you jump out of that, how then is it going to be? They are the kryptonite to your decision. So shut all opinions out of the world. My mentor Paul says, opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone has theirs, and they should probably keep to themselves. Opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone has one, and they should probably keep it to themselves. I believe that. I completely agree with that. Because in the path of jumping out of the rat race and in developing a plan, only consult your counsel. Only seek your counsel. Now, can you get professional advice on how to plan your finances? Definitely yes. Can you get professional advice and a coach on how to navigate your reinvention journey? Definitely yes. But should you go and talk to all your friends and ask them whether this is a good decision, whether this is a good timing, whether these things are going to work out the way you are planning? Definitely not. Do not do that. Find someone who's going to guide you through the steps to create what you want, not to decide for you whether that's what you want. I am all for counsel. In the midst of counsel, there is safety. That's what my Bible tells me. But it's not counsel for people to make decisions for you. It's counsel to take the best possible path to the dream destination that you've articulated for yourself. We're talking about jumping out of the rat race. If you feel trapped in a rat race, exhausted, feeling like this is a futile effort, activity that is meaningless. Wherever and at whatever stage you find yourself in, number one, recognize that you designed that life, therefore you can design a different life. Step into your creative genius. Create a different life. Step number two, make decisions. Make the decisions by when am I going to jump out of this rat race? And what decisions are required for me to jump out of this rat race? We've got some technical hitch going on over here, but we have someone in our team sorting it out shortly. And we'll be in a position to just help you understand what's going on. Now, as they sort that out, I want to just begin landing here by sharing something. That getting out of a rat race has got everything to do with how you define what you will do after you jump out of the rat race. In other words, how are you going to expend your time? How are you going to expend your resources? How are you going to continue to serve those that you desire to serve in your life? And while you're in that process, it's important to appreciate that there is value already within you. And though in one environment that value has been realized and you have been quote unquote enslaved in that environment, your value is required in many other spaces than one. You can serve in more places than you're currently serving. And what I would love for you to do is to get really good at articulating what your value is. Get really good at articulating what you bring to the market. Get really good at articulating what you have and who needs what you have. Get really good at articulating who's willing to pay for what you have. Who's willing to give you an income for what it is that you have, for what it is that you carry within you. Because shifting from the rat race into a life that you've designed requires mastery of what is within you. And the question I asked at the very beginning is, what do you want? Which is a question that I find in my coaching sessions, many people are unable to answer. The second question is, what do you have to offer the world? What do you have to offer the world? I was meeting with a coach, great friend of mine, and really has served our business in tremendous ways. He's a brilliant thinker, strategic planner. And we're just having an open conversation this morning and, having coffee as we appreciated him for some of the work that he's done for us. And I mean, that's what coaches do sometimes. They just pop questions, shoot from the hip. And he asked this question, which I thought was really profound. He asked, if you were woken up at 3 a.m. in the night and you are asked to write down the 3 things that you would do for the rest of your life, and you would do them for free, what would those things be? And the 3 of us that were there with him as well, we just gave all our responses instantly. And he shared something that I resonated with. He said, most people don't have that level of clarity. Most people don't know what they would do if they were not doing what they do today. Part of what they do, they don't even like it. If you pull them out of that space and say, let's take you to another place, and I want you to find what you would do for the rest of your life and that you would do for free. That requires an understanding of your greatness. It requires understanding of your brilliance. It requires understanding of your value. You need to know what you have within you. For you to step out of the rat race, your confidence is in what is already resident within you. If you're going to leave that job, if you're going to say bye-bye to that paycheck and continue to live the life that you've designed, maybe even live a better life, having more time for those that you love, having quality time to impact spaces that you want to impact, you got to know what you have. You have to know what you carry. And you have to know how that which you carry is value to the world. You have to know that. You have to articulate that. And it's the first step in reinventing yourself. It's the first step in jumping out of the rat race. Saying that this is what I have, and I'm going to position it to the world. And I'm going to serve kings with this. And they will pay my worth. I will define the hours I work. I will define the people I work with. I will define why I work with them. And I will define how much my value is when I work with all those people. These are the fundamentals of creating a life that you've desired, creating a life that you've designed. Now, don't let the simplicity of these concepts fool you. Because as I've come to realize in life, principles are few, but methods are many. And I'm sharing with you the principles of what is required to jump out of the rat race. Whether you're living from hand to mouth, every day you've got to do something just to put food in your mouth, these principles apply. Whether you've got money stashed in the bank, got big mortgages, big car loans to pay, and you've got to keep doing what you need to do just to pay the mortgage, just to pay the car loan, just to pay for the school fees, just to pay for the debts, just to pay for everything you need to pay for. Either way, you are in the rat race. And the principles of realizing that you can design a different life, making the decisions on how to jump out of that life, and having a plan of action from here to there. And then thirdly, recognizing your value, positioning it into a different market at your own terms, life at your own terms, income at your own terms, are the three first steps to getting out of the rat race. And if you're in such a space or you know someone, tell them to hit me up. Reinvention@kamoya.com. I'd love to serve you even as you begin to step out of your rat race and develop a plan. Tap into your resourced state to create different from what you had in the past. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Apologies for the technical hitches that we've experienced. I hope that you got to catch something here that will give you the insights, the awareness, and the wisdom that is required as you navigate your reinvention journey. I am Kamoya Benjamin, and I'm excited to always come alongside you at 1:30 p.m. East African time every day with some insights on how to reinvent yourself. I'll see you tomorrow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Reinvention is made simple daily. Blessings, be well, and bye for now.